We here at Chat Sports want to get to know our Vikings fan audience just a little bit better. So our question of the day is, when did you become a Vikings fan? We want to know how long you've been supporting the Minnesota Vikings. So head in the comments section and let us know right now. You're watching Minnesota Vikings Now. I am Tom Downey, and some of you will not like this video very much. We're taking a look at potential cut and trade candidates for the Minnesota Vikings, players who might not last that long with the organization following the 2022 NFL Draft. Of course, try to trade players first, but players get cut. That's what happens. We're going to begin with the first of two offensive guards here. First up is Oli Udoh, the offensive guard who started a decent amount of games this past year for the Minnesota Vikings. The problem overall for Minnesota, and we'll spend plenty of time on this, I promise you, is there is a numbers game going on here at guard. And although Udoh I thought was serviceable, there is a decent amount of cap savings, just under $1 million if they cut him, or if they want to keep the proven presence, who I think would be more of a cut candidate. There is a prime trade candidate out there in Wyatt Davis. Same money saved with a release or a trade there. Again, that's about $882,000 there. But I look at what the Vikings did this offseason, and the guard numbers are noteworthy. You go 6 deep at offensive guard in terms of players who you're either hoping are going to play a big role for you, have played a big role, or were notable investments. Ezra Cleveland, I assume, is going to be a key piece for you at left guard. But you drafted Ed Ingram in the second round. Is he going to be your long-term right guard? You try him at left guard, move Cleveland around. I would assume Cleveland, Ingram are your long-term starters. For now, we'll list Ingram at left guard because he played that most at LSU. You signed Jesse Davis. You signed Chris Reed. I kind of thought either of those guys could start for you since they've started games in the NFL. Then you have your incumbents, Oli Udoh and Wyatt Davis, and I don't think Davis is much of a scheme fit for this organization. You're not going to carry 6 guards. That's not how NFL teams operate. You'll be lucky to carry 4 guards. The investments made by Minnesota, adding Jesse Davis, adding Ed Ingram, adding Chris Reed, players I all like or I'm pretty big fans of, means there's going to be more change at that guard position. So because we didn't want to focus on the new guys, I focused in on the incumbents, and I think there is big-time change still coming at the guard position for Minnesota. I got more names to get to, but I want to hear from you guys first. Who was a player you guys think the Minnesota Vikings should cut? Sound off in the comment section at the pinned comment. That's what this question is. Head down to the pinned comment. If you get the ad break on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there while the ad plays. Drop a name or names you think Minnesota should go cut. Let's go to linebacker now, and there's kind of a similar situation here as it relates to guard, with both Chazz Surratt, who we'll mention first here. With the moves the Vikings made this offseason, Anthony Barr, I doubt, comes back. You retain Eric Kendricks. You sign Jordan Hicks. You draft Brian Asamoah. Those are your top 3 linebackers. And you could go extra deep at linebacker. You could carry a Troy Dye, carry a Chazz Surratt, a Blake Lynch, and got to remember, Lynch actually played a little bit more than Dye or Chazz Surratt. This is going to be more of a 3-4 scheme. How good of a fit is Chazz Surratt in particular? I kind of don't think he's a great one. I'm not sure Asamoah is an elite fit either, but I think that the Chazz Surratt role is going to be replaced by Brian Asamoah. That is the investment. Similar weak side linebacker types. So that makes Surratt's role tricky to figure out. As a former third-round pick, I think there would be some significant trade interest. Are you going to get a third back? No. But if you are going to roll with Asamoah, Hicks, and Kendricks as your top 3, you could shop Chazz and see if you get a draft pick back for an organization I think is going to highly covet draft picks, as we saw this past year when Minnesota moved way down in the first round, passing on guys like a Kyle Hamilton, to move all the way to the back end of the first round where they took Lewis Cine, and his jersey is now available. Vikings rookie jerseys are out, led by Cine and the number 16. Get yours in the comment section and the description. We'll put the link there for you. Chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. We'll make sure that link is high up in the comment section and the description. If you want to rep the newest and potentially greatest Minnesota Viking, get your Lewis Cine jersey today over there. All right, we mentioned Chazz Surratt. Now it's Troy Dye's turn, the 4th-round pick back in 2020. Again, similar situations here. Minnesota was throwing draft capital at linebackers in recent years. They signed Tough Borland as the UDFA. I was fairly impressed by how Blake Lynch fared in a small role. Ryan Conley's on this roster. Zach McLeod, is he going to play edge or linebacker? I think it's edge, but they gave him a pretty big guarantee. The numbers game as it relates to linebacker is similar to guard. The new regime, it would appear to me, has focused in on linebacker and guard as the main areas to start to make some significant changes. So I would not be surprised if Dye or Chazz Surratt end up getting shopped. I don't hate the players, but the moves made by Minnesota indicate to me, hey, they might be looking to make some moves with those particular players. When moves happen, we break them down for you here on Minnesota Vikings Now. We are 82 subscribers away. That is it from 4,000 subs. Let's get there because it is a competition here at Chat Sports. The more subscribers a channel has, the more videos you guys end up getting. So stay ahead of Tennessee. Maybe catch up to our Falcons and Saints channels here. And we're way behind our Bears and Lions channels, by the way, which is kind of embarrassing. So subscribe right now at youtube.com/Vikings today. Let's stick on the defensive side of the ball here for, again, a similar conversation. You mentioned the change at guard, the change at linebacker. Now there's big-time change coming in at the cornerback position. First up is Kris Boyd, the former Texas Longhorn legend, who has been overall, since being a 7th-round pick in 2019, hasn't been an elite corner. And when he did have to play last year, as the limited numbers show you, he didn't really make that many plays. To put it in perspective, 70.4% of a completion percentage allowed for a corner is significant. Yes, you might see some QBs approaching that figure, but remember, those are boosted by some checkdowns and screens, running backs and tight ends. You want to be closer to 50% allowed as a corner. 70% is a very big red flag. And as this regime continues to make changes, the later round investments of the old regime are the ones who are very much on the chopping block. And Kris Boyd certainly falls into that category, especially in light of the Vikings signing Chandon Sullivan, signing Nate Hairston, bringing back Patrick Peterson, and spending a round 2 pick and a round 4 pick on the cornerback spot. That is all rather significant. Now, entering the draft, I was convinced corner was the number 1 need for Minnesota, and they double dipped. So to an extent, they kind of agreed with me. But after the draft, I don't think it is corner anymore. And I'm curious what you guys think is the singular biggest Vikings need at this point. So let me know in the comment section right now. Kris Boyd and Harrison Hand, a 5th-round pick back in 2020, I think are both fighting for maybe one role. Because you look at the investments made by the organization, right? Patrick Peterson isn't going anywhere. Now, maybe they want to move Cam Dantzler. I would be more inclined to start him as we sit right now. Andrew Booth sure as hell isn't going anywhere. And Chandon Sullivan seems almost locked and loaded into the nickel corner role. Maybe Nate Hairston, Perry Nicholson fight for a spot. But all of a sudden, we've got Hand and Boyd and Peterson, Dantzler, Sullivan, Nickerson, Booth, Evans, Hairston. That's way too many guys to actually make your roster. That's 9 deep. So 2 to 3 of these guys at minimum aren't going to make your roster. And the incumbents in Hand and Boyd, since Booth, Evans, Peterson are locks, I think Dantzler, Sullivan are safe. Maybe one of those guys end up making your final roster. So if you can shop them, you'd be wise to do so. Probably more closer to the NFL trade deadline, or not NFL roster cut deadline, than right this second in May. Here are our Vikings cut or trade candidates if you can get aggressive and find one to shop. We begin with 2 guards, since, again, there's the numbers game going on at that position with all the moves made by Minnesota. Oli Udoh and Wyatt Davis. I'd keep an eye out for Davis in particular. They added a 2nd-round pick in Ed Ingram, who could very well start at right guard for you. They signed 2 players. Davis, I don't believe, is a scheme fit for this new Vikings offense, making him a prime trade candidate. 2 linebackers, Chazz Surratt, formerly of North Carolina, a 3rd-round pick last year, and 4th-round pick out of Oregon, Troy Dye. Have Jordan Hicks, Eric Kendricks. You draft Brian Asamoah pretty early. Have Ryan Conley, Blake Lynch. Ooh, are you going to go that deep at linebacker? I'm not so sure. And then cornerback as well. 2 players here once again, Kris Boyd and Harrison Hand. Both of these players have played decent-ish snaps for being later-round picks, but the recent investments made by Minnesota put a numbers crunch on that position and makes me think at least one of those guys will not be with the Vikings when the season begins, barring, of course, more unfortunate injuries. I want you guys to grade the Vikings offseason so far. How do you feel about what the Vikings have done in the first offseason for this new regime? Sound off in the comments, A, B, C, D, or F. Once again, folks, if you have not already subscribed, please do so here at Minnesota Vikings Now. That way producer Jack can feed his cat. Hit that big red button and subscribe right now.